right, welcome to the Good Shit interviews on punkrockmag.com. This is Danny Addicted from the Northern Underground, which is presented by Epic Merch Store. And we're hanging around with Brian from Deviates on our first ever Good Shit interviews. Brian's hanging around in Torrance, California, which is the South Bay of Los Angeles. Brian, thanks for coming on and hanging around with us today.
Yeah, man. Thanks. Stoked to be here. Like we were talking earlier, this is first go for both of us. Something like this, but man, I'm excited about it. So honored to be on, be the first swing at this. Hopefully we hit a home run. We don't strike out.
Yeah, right on, man. So you guys are coming back after about 20 years. Can you tell me a little bit about what brought you back around to reforming and releasing Holding Out, and what was the catalyst for you guys to come back and do that?
Yeah, for sure. So I guess, coming back together, I guess I'll start where we finished. How about I'll start where we start. I live a block and a half from the house I grew up in.
Okay.
3 houses away from the garage that we wrote both our records in. So this is like home. And this is where we've been from in the South Bay of LA. As you said there in Torrance, there's a lot of heritage here for punk rock. We're right at the beach. So things that people see on the X Games or even like the exhibitions of the Warped Tour, right? Like extreme sports was kind of just what we did growing up, and punk rock was the soundtrack to that lifestyle, whether it was surfing or skating or anything else. Black Flag, Descendants, Pennywise, a bunch of bands are from here. So there was just a lot of heritage. And when we started, we didn't really have plans to be, some kind of punk rock stars. It was kind of, we were in a band. We wanted to be in a band. We liked the music. And we started when I just turned 16 years old and started a band. And you know what? Turned out that we figured out how to write songs. We had a good time playing with each other, and then got record contracts and started putting out records and playing shows. And it just began to morph, right? We went from Theologian Records, which gave us a shot here, a local record label. Fletcher from Pennywise produced our first record and was just a friend to the band. And so with that, we got out, started touring, and had the opportunity to join Epitaph Records. And that was super rad, right? That was just a great opportunity for us. As it continued to grow, it was like turning into something more than I think more than we had planned it to be. And it was becoming more of a business for sure, even at an early age or even at an early stage. And so at our last show, which was about 20 years ago at the Troubadour in Hollywood, we had a number of members. We were a 4-piece. 2 of the guys had left the band early on after the second record was recorded. And when we played that show, I was really the last man standing. We had some close friends who I'd known for years that were playing in the band, but it was just kind of time to hang it up. And I said on stage that night, this isn't our last show. We'll do this again. I didn't know it would be 20 years later. But yeah, man, for the last 20 years, I've been continuing to write music, living life. I've been married and got some kids. I met my wife on the Warped Tour, of all places. Met her when we were on tour on the Warped Tour, and we've been married almost 18 years. So punk rock can be good things. Yeah. But I just kept writing music and kept warehousing it. And when a couple years ago, it was just time to get the band back together and put some of this music out. So gathered up some of the guys, and some of the songs, honestly, and I know I'm rambling here a little bit, but some of the songs are from what we were writing as our third record. It was going to be, our second release on Epitaph. Some of those songs were close to being done. They weren't fully produced. And then some of these songs that are coming out and Holding Out are new songs. So what we're really excited about is releasing our first batch of new songs, because I've got 90 plus songs that we're going to be working through over the next few years.
Right on. How is your approach to songwriting over those 20 years, especially, considering that some of the material is from, a longer period of time ago compared to today, but how is that kind of evolved for you personally over the course of the 20 years between then and now?
What's funny is it didn't change one bit. The world changed around me, and then I found out really fast as I started to do this, these guys that had kept playing and were still involved in music, like you can do things digitally. I was clueless. Everything I've ever written, I've written on like beater acoustic guitars, every song that I've ever written. And so I guess the modern technology that I had was instead of having a tape recorder, I was just recording everything on my phone. And then, so I didn't really change my writing process until we started getting ready to go into record. And then it was like, hey, you know, we don't always have to be together. We can bounce digital files back and forth, which was very foreign to me. And I'm just still learning how to do that. I'm not the most comfortable with it, but for me, grabbing a guitar, sitting down on the couch, writing something that I like, bringing it to the band, and then working it out there is what I did way back in the day, and I continue to do today. So nothing really has changed. It's just, I guess the world has changed around me, and either I need to catch up or just keep doing the same thing. It's worked so far, so I might just keep doing the same thing.
I guess you know, with the whole COVID thing going on too, the digital aspect probably made it a little bit easier, I guess, to exchange ideas.
Yeah. You know, that was a weird time for sure. I mean, it still is a weird time. The timing of it sucks. I guess there's no good time for anything like that. Just to be clear, there's never a good time for something like that. Sure. But we get back together as a band. We're going to start writing, getting ready to record, and all this happens. And then even as it starts to loosen up a little bit, or things start to, we think we're moving back to normal, and we're going to release the record. You know, you got the Delta variant and everything else, legislation and mandates and things that are making it difficult for live music. And yeah, you got to be safe, and yeah, you got to make smart decisions, but just the timing of it is, I think we're still figuring it out. Everybody.
You mentioned Pennywise and them working on your first album and all that. From what I saw online, you guys have some shows coming up with them. Can you tell me a little bit about working with Pennywise and what you guys have coming up?
Yeah, being from here, and them obviously being from here, and we started the band in 1994, and so you know, those guys were and really still are the guys, and so being fans of the band, and then having the opportunity to work directly with Fletcher, with him helping us produce that first record and really, I think, hone our skills as far as how you prepare to get into a studio, what you do and what you don't do on tour, and just learning from those guys and becoming friends with them, and in some respects being mentored by them. It was, we know, I look back now and it's like, maybe it's something that we took for granted. We just didn't realize how unique that opportunity was. And now that we've come back and we're going to be playing some shows and releasing music, the same guys that are working with them are friends of ours, have been friends of ours for years, and really just, it's connecting the dots. If we're going to come back and play shows and they're playing shows, they've given us the opportunity to get on stage with them again. And there's absolutely no way we would ever pass that up. So we've got a show October 7th and 8th in Ventura, California. And we've got a show on October 9th up in San Luis Obispo. And then we've got a show with them on November 5th down in San Diego. So, you know, they've got a string of West Coast shows. They've given us the opportunity to play. We're going to be playing with a bunch of other great bands on there who we've been friends with for a long time. So, and it's just really a gift as far as coming back, and then live music's reopening, and Fletcher, Jim, Randy, and Byron are like, come play with us. Man, so just couldn't ask for more.
Right on. Do you feel like the music industry has been fairly open to your return outside of like that inner circle? And I mean, you know, obviously things have changed over the period of time and all that, but getting back out there and everything, and perhaps with your audience and everything, like how do you feel the response has been so far to Deviates return to music
2.0? Yeah.
Deviates 2.0.
Yeah. It's September 9th. Technically, like, we don't have any, we've released 2 singles in advance of the release of the record.
Okay.
The album doesn't come out till September 17th. So there's been like teasers, right? Oh, here's a single with a video. Here's another single. And that's probably, I guess, August 17th was the first time anybody heard new music. So it's been a couple weeks.
Okay.
And we're like, I was joking around with my friend Josh today about, like, we're 4 months old. We're a 4-month-old band. We don't jack about the social media world and how to like interact with people today, because it's just a different environment. When we left, there was no Facebook. Like, there was MySpace, and I don't think we had a MySpace page. We were like, yeah, right. So we're re-entering into this and trying to learn how to like wave our hand and say, hey guys, we're back, we're writing music. So I don't think that we've perfected, well, I know that we haven't perfected or actually found all the routes to engage the punk rock world today. And so I don't know. I mean, maybe in a month we can do this again, or at least, a couple months I could tell you what the response is. So far, I mean, we haven't had, everything's been, oh, it's great, everything's good, and everybody loves it. I'm waiting for all the negative feedback. I mean, if you don't get negative feedback, you're doing something wrong, right? Like you got to piss somebody off. Somebody has to dislike what you're doing.
Sure.
But so far, no, it's been positive. It's been nothing but encouraging. I know that not only has the way in which people consume music, like digitally consuming music, the way they write music, again, digitally transferring files, just the scene and punk rock as a whole has seen some changes. All the bands that I listened to and still listen to, and that I, couldn't wait to go see live. There's a lot of them that are still out there doing it, but there's just a different way of consuming music and interacting with bands. I'm not the biggest fan of the digital platform. I don't think that, I don't know. I don't want to be this old crotchety old guy, but like there's something that was really rad about going to a record store. And even when CDs were coming in and or cassettes and flipping through things and having something tangible and reading the liner notes, looking at pictures of the band and just, I don't know, figuring out the connective tissue between everything that was happening in the scene. And it's just, it's like flipping through a phone now. So I guess I am sounding crotchety. But you asked me, like, what's been the response? So far, man, it's been really positive. And we're super excited about it. And you know what? We have a freedom right now that we haven't had since we were 16. Like, we're there. We're not owned by this, right? This isn't my job. This isn't how I've got kids. I'm not feeding. I don't hope somebody likes my music so that they buy it so that I can feed my kids. We're doing this for the pure love of the music. We love punk rock. We love the scene. We want to write our own music. We're going to put it out and we're going to have fun doing it. And if people love it, awesome. Like, we're going to love it with you. We can't wait to get live. I can't wait to get to Canada. We want to come play everywhere that we can, everywhere they have and everywhere that we haven't. But right now, there's this freedom in it, right? That's kind of, I don't know, there's a purity to it. So
That's awesome, man. You mentioned a few times over the interview, being 16 when you started the band and, the environment in which you kind of grew up around with like extreme sports and all that. Do you remember the first punk rock show that you went to?
Yeah, I actually do. The first punk rock show I ever went to was a Guttermouth show.
Nice.
And
nice. I interviewed Mark once before. He was my actually. He was actually my first interview.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. That's a good question. What year was that?
Probably about 2017, maybe 18.
Okay. So,
but yeah, no, kind of a jump into the fire kind of thing though too, because he's a pretty awesome guy. Okay. It was when they came through Canada.
He's a great guy. He's 100% Mark all the time. Yeah, a buddy of mine actually. So a little plug here for a buddy of mine who's actually now plays guitar in the band. So we were a 4-piece. We're now a 5-piece. So we've got 2 guitar players, and the guitar player's name is Donald. Donald plays in our band, but he also plays in a handful of other bands. The Line, which we're actually playing with The Line and Pennywise, and Strung Out on that October 8th show. The Line's a great group of guys, close friends. Donald came in to play on the record and joined the band. He also plays with Guttermouth. And so I seen Guttermouth not too long ago. I took my wife and kids to go see Guttermouth at a skate shop up in Venice a while ago.
Nice.
And I hadn't seen Mark for the longest time, but yeah, that's a great first interview for sure. And that was actually my first punk rock show, right? So it was like, this is before, like, I don't know if you know the whole story, but this was before, like, yeah, it was an eye opener for sure. There's things that I was like, I will never do that. I'll never do that. I'm not going to celebrate people spitting on me. That's for sure.
Right on.
Yeah, we started when we were 16. That was a long time ago. I'm 42 now, and you know what? It's funny. Like, I think was it yesterday? Like, the Suffer record is like 33 years old. So things that seem like not that long ago are actually. It's been quite a while.
Right on. I have one more before we get to possibly checking out one of your videos here. The song 40 Days and 40 Nights. I read recently that it was it was written to address the struggles of addictions. If there's
Yeah.
somebody out there right now that would be going through a struggle like that, what would you have to say to them?
Let me answer first by kind of laying some groundwork
Sure.
To address this, because I think you could, give a coffee cup quote and be like, what, everything's going to be all right. That might not be the truth, right? Maybe things aren't going to be all right. Maybe things are bad and they're going to stay bad for a while, or maybe things are bad and because of the decisions you're making, things are going to be worse. I think the worst thing you could do is lie to somebody or give them false hope. So that song, 40 Days and 40 Nights, yeah, what the quote or what the comment says in there is that, do you hear a bunch of background noise, by the way, at my house? Are you
A little bit, but it's all right.
Okay.
It's fine.
Okay. Hold on one sec, okay?
Yeah, no worries.
Can you close that door for me? Ours?
Oh, yeah.
Thanks. So real life is happening, right? I'm at home.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I'm at home, and so the kids are being wild as kids should be. But I'm not. They're not interrupting us. We're interrupting them. So there's that I said that song started taking shape 20 years ago, in that it's written specifically about the struggles, the ongoing struggles with addiction and the loss surrounding it. And so, me personally, I've struggled with addiction. I've got family, close friends who have struggled and have lost that struggle, have lost that fight. I've got others who are fighting it still. And so its song's not one of like celebration. It's more of a, you're not alone. And so if I was going to say anything to anyone in that, is that your situation is unique. Your situation is your own. And there's nobody who's going to be able to tell you exactly what you're going through, exactly what you're dealing with, but you're not alone. This life was not meant to be lived alone. Unfortunately, that addiction ends up driving you towards isolation, and people end up dying in situations where if they hadn't been alone, even in an OD situation, if they hadn't been alone, maybe they could have made it through. So my encouragement would be pick up the phone. Like, more than ever, there's somebody out there, something, even if it's just to yell at somebody or have somebody yell at you. Being alone is a tough place to be in, and that isolation is deadly. So I'd also say this, which is extremely personal. Our Instagram page, if you message through the Instagram page, at some point, you're going to get a hold of me. And if this is something that resonates with you, people have said about my lyrics, there was rumors actually when the band broke up that I had overdosed on heroin and died. And so there was a lot that was written in those albums that were a lot of struggles and a lot of things that resonated with people. And either people wrote themselves into the songs or they inferred in those songs that, hey, he's struggling with the same things I am. And that was pretty heavy and weighty for me to try to manage through at 18, 19, 20, 22 years old. But now here on the other side of some of those things, I'm accessible. And so if you feel like there's nobody that you can talk to and you want to give it a shot, I make myself available to anybody and everybody that I can. And I didn't expect to come on this and say that, but I'm not going to cower and pull away from that.
Fair enough. And I guess that's a
heavy topic, man. It's not
it is. Yeah. I guess that is a testament though to the power of music and the power of punk rock too, in the sense of community, is that, that you're not alone, because, it's when somebody falls down, stop and help them back up,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I think that's why we find out, I met my wife out in this, right? And I think we found ourselves in that world because of whether it was fatherlessness or neglect or abuse, overt abuse. You find yourself like recoiling from things, and then you find yourself in a community of people who, even if they don't understand you, they accept you. And so there's comfort in that. And, that's really what punk rock was for me. I didn't grow up with my dad around. I'm a dad now. I have a 16-year-old daughter. It's crazy. I was 16 when this band started, right? And I want to be better than I was, and I want better for my kids. And but I've got to acknowledge where I fail in that and where I've failed before. So think the punk rock world definitely was a community, was a place where I found myself to not be alone. And I think, at an early age, man, I've had some of the messages that I've gotten as of late, even just the band coming back and to your point, using your word testament to punk rock, some of the things that people have said to me have been like, oh my gosh, like a major responsibility that I didn't know, the weight of words, and like you said, the reach of music. So yeah, that's a big question. I appreciate you asking it. But if anybody's out there and they feel like they're alone and they see this and you want to go reach through Deviates at Deviates Band on Instagram, I can't promise you that I'll respond immediately, but I'll make myself as accessible as possible. That's another reason why I'm back. That's another reason why I'm back, man, doing this music. It's because I miss the people and I miss the scene.
Right on. Well, I appreciate your honesty, and it was a great answer, by the way. And so you guys got some shows coming up, and we're gonna listen to some music. Right. And I guess all I have to say is thanks for coming on, and let's get to some Deviates. And this has been the Good Shit Interviews on punkrockmag.com. This is Brian from Deviates, hanging around with Danny Addicted, who also hosts the Northern Underground. That's me. And that's hosted by Epic Merch Store. So Brian, thanks a lot, man. This has been great.
Danny, thank you, man. I really appreciate it. It's been a great time.
Awesome. Take care, man.